Hello, YouTubers. This is another session where my friend Yasser here and I continue our journey into building a virtual bazaar application. This is going to be a mobile application with a web app backend or back office component that basically allows administrators of the system to manage the system, be able to look at the stores, the users, and do any other management, work needed. And in our last session, we were still in the initialization process. Yes, sir, is that right? We're still kind
Yeah.
of setting up the projects and everything. Now, since
Mhm.
.NET 7 is out, we should probably kind of download and upgrade, as we go. The idea is to be able to kind of get up to speed and get ahead of that curve and continue to kind of build our system in a way that is, keeping up with the latest and greatest technology. And I really highly recommend, just like I was putting on my YouTube channel, always stay up to date with the bleeding edge piece of
Mhm.
software so you are able to do the right thing. Okay, let's get started. So the last thing, you were going to, I mean, we initialized the unit test project, right?
Right. As well as the API. It was done.
Okay, perfect. Now let's initialize acceptance tests. What do you think about that? I'll take control over that one,
Mhm.
for now, and then, we could talk a little bit, about why acceptance tests and all that kind of
Mhm.
stuff. Just to
Yeah.
give people a little bit of high level, about what is acceptance tests, what kind of tests are we going to be writing in here. This is really, really important so people kind
Mhm.
of, understand, why we're building these projects and how important these projects are. So here's the deal. When you are writing a test, everything in our world today can be broken into three main components, right? There's a tri nature that I've seen and everything out there. When you're building a simple API, just for the simplest API, if you are building one service, a service will go through components like validation and processing and integration, right? So if we're building a simple service, let's say that stores products, right? If this service is storing products, we basically go and say, well, we need to test that this service is doing validation for the input parameters that are going through that system, and then doing some processing. Maybe it's doing some mapping, doing some work, around, the processing itself. And then there's an integration where it goes and calls a database broker, right, or an API broker so it can persist that data. So that's a service. It's not a microservice, it's a service, like a simple class that does some work for us, like a C# class that does these three things. Okay, so when we test these things, we go and say, okay, here's my unit test, and my unit test will go from here to here. So we will test everything. It will go and mock. We will mock these dependencies, right? And we will go from here to here. So that's your unit test, right? But the
Mhm.
same pattern can be applied a little bit further. So you see that one little box that we have in here, this box here, we're gonna
Mhm.
take that box itself will be also part of three different components. And these components are a controller and a service and a broker. So that exact box that has validation, processing, integration, it's exactly the same as this one. It's just one box. All right. But now this box is part of other tri-nature pattern where you have a controller and a broker within a microservice, right? And this controller and broker, we want to be able to test it. So this is when we go and put something called acceptance tests. And these acceptance tests, yeah, sir, allow us to kind of hit the system end to end. Sometimes we will mock APIs that are sitting behind the scene, and sometimes we'll just hit the actual database. It really depends on what components the system owns within
Mhm.
that particular. So this is here is your acceptance test. See, so far so
Mhm.
good, right? Now there is another thing called integration test. Right? So you see this microservice, let me just put this in here so you just understand, what the realm that we're working with. So this here is just a service, right? This is exactly the same service that is this component. Okay, so now this guy here is a microservice. 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 So a bigger container than what we had before. Now let's zoom out a little bit. Here comes the crazy part, right? You know, a these exact very same this very same microservice is actually part of something bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And that something bigger is you have exposure component and you have your orchestration microservices, and then you have your primitive integration microservices. What the heck is that? Where's that coming from, right? Primitive integration microservices. This is architecture wise, like the entire architecture in the system, right? So you have services that are doing actual work by basically orchestrating multiple primitive APIs. You have exposure components like a portal or a mobile app, or this is called an exposure, components in your architecture. And then you have these primitive integration services, the services that hit the database and own the data by itself. And sometimes these guys blend together and sometimes they don't, right? And this here, my friend, is what I call an integration test. The higher you go in the test, the lower the number of tests that you have to write, but the more critical the results may be. Like a unit test failing could be, not that, fatal of an error. But an acceptance test failing, that means an entire business flow is failing. An integration test failing, that means you have critical failure across your entire system, right? So this integration test. So these are the three kinds of tests that we have here, my friend, right? We have
Mm-hmm.
ones that test at the unit test level. It's testing you whether you're doing the validation and processing and integration.
Mm-hmm.
One, and you zoom out a little bit further. So there's one that is actually hitting your API going through the service and the broker. Yesterday, I was trying to upgrade to .NET 7, and if it wasn't for these acceptance tests, I wouldn't have known whether my project is in a good, healthy state or not after the upgrade. Very,
Mm-hmm.
very important. And then the last one here is the integration test. You're actually going through the API and poking a hole through the entire system, going all the way to your primitive services, integration microservices, and coming all the way back, right? So
All
you
right.
and I already, let me fix this here. You and I already did the initialization of the unit tests in
Yeah.
here. We already did this initialization. This time we're gonna initialize acceptance tests. Do you want to see how to do
Okay.
it? Let's do it together,
Yeah,
right?
sure. Please. Yeah.
So let's go to Bazaar to core, and I'm gonna share my screen with you in a second.
So before switching our screen,
Mm,
what I understand is the unit test. It is, as we already know that we are testing a single class with a single
hmm.
method,
Yes,
and within that method we will be having validation, processing, and integration.
that's right.
Right. So the second is acceptance test
Yes.
that you have mentioned. So
It's
here,
testing one single endpoint. That's a bunch of methods
endpoint.
that could, uh,
Right. So
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 instead of
within
just,
within the, uh-huh,
go ahead, go ahead,
yeah.
go ahead, go ahead. Mm,
So here we will be writing acceptance test. In this, you have broker, service, and controller.
hmm.
Okay. So its endpoint will be is it API that we'll be
Yeah,
checking?
it
Okay.
could be an API in some components. If you're building an API, it will be an API. In another place, it will be something like a UI test. So in the phantom space, you're actually pretending that you're filling in information, clicking enter, and
Hmm.
you're waiting for your system to actually validate that it actually hit the API. I will
Yeah,
show
yeah.
you some crazy, crazy magic, something called Wiremock that makes your API think like your service, your UI thinks that there's an actual service running in the background. There isn't. There's
All right.
nothing running in the background.
Hmm.
See what I'm
Hmm.
saying?
Hmm.
And all that we're doing is that it's like a mock, like when we mock a storage broker or something like that, but it's a phantom API that you're controlling how it responds.
Hmm.
It's really fun. I can't wait to show you that one. But
Yeah.
that's what this guy is doing. So notice this. Like in the acceptance test, you're only testing happy path. What we're trying to verify is that the controller is talking to the service and the service is talking to the broker. We don't care about exceptions. We don't care about validations because all of that is taken care of by the service. So you don't need to retest that.
Mhm.
Acceptance test will test what your unit test is not covering. Like
Yeah,
your
that
unit
means
test. Go
yeah,
ahead.
that
Go ahead.
means the business logic is spread across multiple classes. Uh, so this
Nah,
acceptance test,
not exactly.
not exact.
Acceptance test will just verify that your business logic is successfully tied to a good integration broker and a good controller exposed through a
Okay.
controller. That's it.
Yeah. So that means CLI. I mean, it could be one. We could mock that CLI also if it is a CLI instead of API, command line interface.
Right. It could be a
Uh,
command
uh,
line, right? We're basically trying, the whole idea is to try to access the system the same way your classic typical consumer of that system would access it. If it's UI, it will be a phantom space kind of run. Some people use Selenium. I'm not
mhm.
going to use Selenium. I'm going to use something C Sharp.NET based with Blazor, think something like Playground or something like that. We'll see.
Mhm.
Or, it's an API, or it's just a library, a DLL. Then you want to access that library through, the exposure component, whatever that client may be on that library. This is
Right.
really, really important. You won't
Mhm.
find that stuff in a lot of places. So listen to me very well, okay?
Yeah.
And then at the very end comes the integration test. Usually integration tests are very, very few. Their only job is to make sure that your system components are talking to each other. Let me just help you with an example here. Let's say you have a web application, right? And let's say you have some orchestration service, and let's say you have a bunch of services, in the back end. This is at the high level architecture level, right? You're working with that. And this orchestration service based on the UI, it manages how your system is going to route the request into which service it needs to talk to. So here's one route, here's another route, here's another route. How many integration tests do we need here? Take one wild guess.
Over here.
Mm,
Uh,
mm.
three integration tests
It's
or just
exactly
one?
three. It's exactly
Okay.
three.
Yeah.
Why? Assuming that every microservice here has its own flow, right? You will need three services, three tests, three integration tests in here across your entire architecture. Why? You're
Hmm.
trying to verify that this guy is successfully talking to this guy and this guy. That's one route. And
Right.
this guy is talking to this guy and then this guy. That's another route. And then this
Hmm.
guy is talking to this guy. That's a third route. This way, it's telling you your system at a high level is intact. It's actually holding steady. You
Hmm.
know what I mean?
Right.
And then beyond integration test, once your system becomes very, very tough, you can start deploying a very nice thing called, it has a little bit of a funny name, but it's a very famous thing in our in the software engineering space. That thing will be called what? Yeah, sir. It will be called the. You just give me a second.
Hmm.
Just a moment. We can deploy something called. Can I paste it in here? We deploy something called Chaos Monkey. And
Okay.
what is this Chaos Monkey do? You basically go and put, let's say, I'm trying to find a, hold on. Let's say this is, I don't know. Let's say this is your monkey, for instance. This is Chaos Monkey. Do you know what
Hmm.
this guy does? Let's mark this guy as red because it's actually crazy. What it's gonna try to do, it's gonna see all the endpoints that you have in here, and it's gonna try to kind of take down your services. So it will keep hitting one service until it overwhelms that service with requests to see how your system is still gonna operate. So Chaos Monkey plays very well with your integration tests because Chaos Monkey will try to beat down all your services, right? And then goes and talks to your integration, says, are you still alive? Are you still good? Are you still good? So it's basically verifying that your system is resilient,
Mhm.
meaning can your system actually bounce back from a DDoS attack?
Mhm.
It's really
Okay.
fun. It's really fun, because you get to go and say, yeah, I am building a system that can handle millions and millions and millions of requests and users from everywhere. And I verified this with data. In fact, smart people and good engineers that, know their craft will tell you when they run Chaos Monkey, at some point in time, your system has to give up. There are systems at some point in time, the system will be like, I can't deal with this anymore, right? As soon as your system says that, take immediately a report and say, this is the maximum capacity of processing and compute that our budget and our system can process at this point in time. And then you go
Mhm.
put a threshold. You go put a threshold in your services, because when you start nearing that threshold, you start sending alerts to your engineers. So we need your engagement. We might be under a DDoS attack. Some people will tell you, well, yeah, sir, why don't you just auto scale? Auto scale is great until you face a DDoS attack and all of a sudden your monthly budget is $2 million a month because you kept scaling, 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 and consuming more and more and more hardware, and someone's got to pay for that bill, right? Like Azure or AWS or Google be like, oh, sure, bro, you don't want to scale up, you want to scale out? Sure, by all means, but there will be a bill to pay. So the system somehow, this is where high level architecture optimization come to be and say, I want to still be able to handle this without paying more money. So what do some engineers do, Yasser? They go and throw a little something in here that we call what? The queue. They put a queue in here. So you say, I don't need three moons to line up in order for my system to run. I'm gonna stack all of these requests into a queue and let my services consume at its own pace.
Mhm.
This drives the chaos monkey crazy because we're like, okay, then I need to do something about this. Let me try to DDoS this one and take it down,
Mhm.
right? And see what happens. The good news is usually queues are native cloud, applications, and you only get charged very little per message. So you can put 50 trillion messages in there. That's not going to shake your budget as much as scaling a microservice or scaling a UI component. So this is a walkthrough through the entire craziness that we're about to embark on. This is enterprise level architecture and engineering, my friend. The stuff that you go when you watch Netflix or watch Amazon or watch, whatever is out there, when you're consuming, you'll see this a lot during Cyber Monday here in America, right? Sometimes this Amazon website will go down to its knees. Something is wrong there with the
Okay.
engineering, right? The
Mhm.
engineers didn't manage a certain thing, or they reached maximum capacity in terms of performance and they snapped. And this is why, yeah, sir, like, let me just explain this. I think the strength of any system is not in the system itself, but in how much it is easy for the engineers that are maintaining that system to understand how it works. Because if the engineers understand how that system works, they'll be able to maintain it and keep it alive no matter how complex it is. A lot of
Mhm.
people will go and say, okay, throw hardware, throw memory, throw compute, throw money at it. But what about the engineers? You're going to have to invest in these guys so they know how your system works. So it doesn't matter whether half of them are on vacation or not. They still can support the system and make it running. It's all about the people, right? It's all about the people. Always been, right? All right. So that's a lot of stuff, but let's go let's go back and build that little acceptance test in here. Are you ready for that? Okay, let's go
Mhm.
to Bazaar core. Here it is, and let's share the screen here. Unless you have any other questions. Hmm. Any further questions, Your Honor? Anything at all? Let me fix the
Mm.
resolution here, Yasser, so people can see stuff. Tell
Mhm.
me. Go ahead. Hmm.
Yeah, no questions as such.
Okay.
I'm pretty clear with the thought.
Okay. So stay focused with me because it's gonna get a little busy.
Complex. Okay. Okay.
Not complex, just busy. If it gets complex, then I'm bad at my job. I don't know how to explain software, and that would be really bad. The whole idea is to make things simple for people, right? So what are
Hmm.
we trying to test here, my friend? I'm trying to build a test. Wait, I need to get latest from master. Did we merge your unit test branch? We did, right? I think. Let's see. Hold tight. Let's see. Ah, okay. Where is
It should
your?
appear. You're admin now.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so let me rebuild all that stuff real quick. How about, okay, so there's this guy. Okay, now let's go and add a new project in here, yes. And the project is just going to be a unit test. It looks like exactly the same, but it's doing something absolutely different. Let's do that together. So this is it doesn't show you the window, unfortunately, which is very unfortunate. But and you know what? I'm gonna share it anyway because we have to do this. We can't just, tell people, you just do it this way. See, it's not even letting me
Share
share
that.
the window.
Okay.
It won't let me. But anyway, just a StreamYard fail. But anyway, let's see here. It will be Bazaar.core.api.test.acceptance like this. So just like how we created the unit test, yeah, sir.
Hmm.
This time we're just creating the acceptance test. Exactly the same. See how
Right.
test.unit?
Hmm.
This is test.acceptance.
It's simple class library
It's a very simple class
with
library.
X unit.
It's not a well, it's a test project.
Test project. Okay. X unit.
It's an X unit, yes. It's an X unit. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Now let's go initialize this guy. What do we want to do? We want this project here to talk to this API here in the
Right.
phantom space. We want to talk to the
Hmm.
APIs without, here's the thing, without having to do any additional work in terms of spinning up the application. I don't want to spin up the
Mm.
actual API. Some people do the hackiest crap in the world. They go and they say, okay, let me write a PowerShell script to start the API. There's a right way to do everything. You know what I mean? There's a
Hmm.
simple right way to do everything. So let's just start from the bottom here. What am I going to do? I'm going to build some brokers. Does that sound familiar? See, I'm following the same pattern everywhere, but at least I'm staying
Hmm.
consistent, right?
Hmm.
So here's brokers. And under brokers, I'm going to create a new file. And this file is going to be called Bazaar, and then API broker. Okay. And this Bazaar API broker is going to have some good stuff in it. So what do we want to put in this? First of all, we're going to partialize it because we're going to add a few things to it. And then I'm going to go and say private read only, right? And then web application factory. This web application factory is going to help us kind of manifest versions of um, of the uh, of the API. I'm going to be able to go and say, okay, here's startup.cs, and this startup.cs is going to come from this other project, which is so this is Microsoft ASP.NET Core MVC, find and install latest version. And this is the startup CS file that's in here, Yasser. This is this guy. I'm going to
Hmm.
use this guy to initialize a phantom version of the Bazaar API. So let me add the project in here. Look, here is add project reference. Here's our API. And then I'm going to go to startup CS in here. There you go. That's our guy, right? So let's say web application factory. That's number one thing. Okay, great. The other thing, I need an HTTP client because we're going to make API calls, right? So here's HTTP client like this. Here's your HTTP client. What's the next thing? Private read only, something called iRestful API factory client. What is this? It's a little library I built. It's called restfulsense. And this restfulsense library basically allows you it simplifies the process of calling APIs and serialization and returning meaningful exceptions based on the HTTP code that you're getting from your API. So if you're getting 404, it'll actually throw an exception called
Mm-hmm.
not found HTTP response exception. You see, some people do a lot of this hacky crap and they go and say, oh, let me dig into the status in the business logic to see if the response is something else so I can map it. That's just that. Oh God, that's just really not how you should do
Mm,
things. Okay, it's
right.
really sad, right? So let's go get the what you call it, the restful sense. Let's go back here. This library really went places I didn't expect it to. I'm just building tools for myself. You see, when you're building tools for yourself, it is very likely. See, this is 42,000 installs. That's pretty cool, right?
Right.
When you build something that is useful to you, eventually you will find someone who is really interested in the same thing, and you don't have to worry about going out of your way to support this library because simply you're using it, you need it yourself
Mm-hmm.
to get your work done, right? So here's your restful sense. That's my restful API factory client. Okay, so this is my API factory. Someone posted something on GitHub the other day saying, hey, you don't need actually to initialize all of this, you can initialize them internally. Like, you can simplify this a lot. We'll talk about that in a second. Okay, so you have your web application factory. That's a new web application factory. So far, so good. And then I want this .http client, right? And that's your this .web application factory dot and then create client like this. And
Okay.
then here is your API factory client, new RESTful API factory client with this .http client right here. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so far so
Okay.
good, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now let's see. Let's see what we're gonna do next, right? I'll talk about the simplification later. Let's pick up this license kind of thing of yours and put it up here. Okay, and then Control KE will kind of clean up your situation here.
Mm.
So far, so good, right? Very
All right.
simple, no problem, right? Now, I want to build something called API test collection. API test collection. And this API test collection will use that little API broker, the VZR API broker, and add that on top of your test. So it says inject that startup initialization so I can actually make successful API calls. Let's go and create that real quick. So here's your guy,
Mm-hmm.
here's a class, right? And then I'm gonna go and say API test collection, that guy. And let's add in some headers here. See, it's just a second habit. You can, some people say, oh, you can add configuration that will take care of that for you. Sure, no problem. But, I want to program my own hands to be able to know this. So whether there is a config or not, it doesn't matter, right? Don't be too dependent on the machine, right? So here's your collection definition. And what I'm doing here is that I'm going and saying name of, and this is your API test collection. And this guy is inheriting from iCollection fixture of your of your API test collection here. So that's your guy, right? And then, sorry, this is wrong. This will be your Bazaar API broker. This is it.
Okay.
This is just one simple class, but I'm going to show you what we're going to do with it in a second. We're going to do a lot of cool stuff with it in a second. Okay, so remember this API test collection. That's what we have, right? Now, let's go build a broker, and this broker is going to be focusing on the home controller. Do you remember that home controller? Say, hello, Mario, the prince
Yeah.
is another
Yeah.
castle,
Mm-hmm.
right? We're going to go build that guy, right? Let's go here and say, well, I want to go and say, here is my API right here. And I'm going to go here and say brokers, and this is your Bazaar API broker dot home dot cs, and this guy is partialized because we already partialized it. We already created a partialization for it in the original file. It's Control KE like this. And then what do I need here? I need two things: private constant string home relative URL. So this is your home controller, which is API slash home. Remember, just the
Yeah.
URL.
Mm-hmm.
And then here, public async. What am I doing? Value task string, because it's returning a string, right? And then get I don't know, get home message async, something like this. And now I can go
Mhm.
here and say this dot API factory, API client dot get content string async and the home relative URL. So this function is like a broker that's integrating with your API. Then where's the test then? Huh? Where's the test that will verify that stuff? Easy. We're gonna go out and create a new folder in here, and this folder will be called APIs. APIs. Let me fix that real quick. APIs like this. Okay? And this APIs project will have the same, the home controller API test. Right? So I'm just gonna go
Mhm.
in here and say, and since this is a very simple API, we don't even need like a logic, operations or any of that. We're just gonna go here and say, here is a new folder under this APIs. I'm gonna call it homes because it's a namespace, so it needs to be plural. And then I'm gonna create just a simple class, and this class is gonna be, something like home API tests. Remember how we write service API tests? We're gonna write here home API tests. I'm not even gonna partialize that, but there's something new that I'm gonna do here. I'm gonna go here and say collection. Look, and then I'm gonna throw there that little, API test collection. Sorry, name of API test collection that you and I created just a second ago. Come on, here you go. And let me clean that up. And then I'm gonna go here and do the file.
Mhm.
So that's
Control
your
delete.
API test collection. Okay, yep. Now what do I need? Look at this. If I go here and say private read only, write a Bazaar API broker, and this is my Bazaar API broker, it's already initialized because of this guy. It's just like a constructor, but you're already injecting this initialization in here. So you don't have to go and inject it in any way, shape, or form.
Mhm. Okay.
Like if you go inside this guy, remember if I go in here, this guy is leveraging the Bazaar API broker, which is already initializing all the little components you need to get going
Mhm.
with an API call. I'm basically just going
Yeah.
back here and saying, here's my API broker.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay, now what am
Okay.
I get now what am I gonna do with this API broker? I want to just write a very simple test really. It's not really magic. All I really want to do is that I'm gonna go here and say, okay, this guy can be injected with a this is already coming from the outside world. So this is your Bazaar API broker, Bazaar API broker, and this is a single liner. So let's fat arrow it, and we're gonna go say this my private. This is already injected through that collection. Now I can write a simple test in here that says public async task should return home message async like this, right? And now I
Mhm.
can go here and say, okay, what is my home message here? Given, when, then. Unlike unit tests, which we're gonna randomize for, in this one I'm gonna go here and say, expected message. What was our expected home message? Hello, Mario.
Hello, Mario.
The
Hmm.
princess is in another castle. So you're actually calling the actual API in here, right? And there is actually no setup. So I'm just gonna go here and say, okay, string actual message equals await this dot your API broker dot get home message async. I'm calling the API. And then at the very end here, I'm gonna go and say expected message should be equivalent to, sorry, actual message. You start with actual first. Actual message
Mhm.
should be equivalent to expected message. Expected message. That's it. There is no cleaning up. There is no mocking. Not just yet. There is no, you're actually hitting the actual API and verifying that your API is running. Is this really true? Is it really that simple? I don't know. I don't know if I made it even simple. I throw a lot of stuff at you, but let's just run this test and see. Is it really gonna work? Did they break it in .NET 6? I don't know. See. Look at this, it's passing.
Mhm. Yeah.
But yeah, sir, is it really passing? Like if I go here and just say instead of hello, I'm gonna say hello like
Hmm.
this. If I run this test, is it actually gonna fail? Is it actually hitting my API? Let's find out. I don't know. Look, it failed. Look,
Right.
look, look.
It fails. Yeah.
Aha.
Yeah.
So it's like exactly as if you're calling the API in the real world. And this is, my
Hmm.
friend, the cleanest freaking possible way. This is playing by the book. You're playing
Right.
ASP.NET by the book. There's no complications. Sweet and simple, very straightforward, no magic. No magic. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, what's something interesting about acceptance tests that you won't see in unit tests? Acceptance tests happen after effect, after the fact. You don't write the test first, and then you make the test pass by writing the logic. Acceptance tests happen after you've written the logic.
Right. Okay. Hmm.
Because acceptance test is verifying that your components are sane. It doesn't really care about what these components are actually doing.
Hmm. Right.
See how
So
this
it's
is nice?
nice. Yeah. Yeah. It's this project, it spins up in memory, maybe, that server,
Mm-hmm.
and then sends, we are sending to the server this request,
Mm-hmm.
this, and getting the response. Yeah.
Right? So let's go here and create a new branch. Users Hassan Habib slash infra dot initialize acceptance tests. Right? And now I can go here and say, okay, well, infra initialize acceptance tests. The beauty of this, my friend, is that when we set up the pipeline, the build pipeline, you will see the magic of running your entire acceptance test and your unit test in the build pipeline before the code merges into your code. The clean way of doing things, the pretty way. Okay, let's go down here. Let's go to share screen. Here's my guy. Come on, help a brother out. I think we broke StreamYard. Hold on.
Oh,
Or I'm probably too fast. Are you still there? Can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you, but your video is lagging a bit, I think.
I know. I broke my
Mm.
computer. I guess 64 gigs of RAM, an i9 processor, and 4K display is not enough. I hope that it froze. I hope that it froze on a good frame at least. I really hope
Hmm.
that the frame is not. I'm not like opening my mouth in the middle of a sentence and or my eyes are sleepy or something. Anyway,
No,
I'll
no.
wait for this thing. I will wait for it like 2 seconds, and
Hmm.
then if it doesn't, just stay in this session. Don't do
Hmm.
anything in this session so I can
Right.
join you back. Hold on. I think I broke the darn thing. Hold on.
Okay.
Hold tight. Okay, I'll give it
Y-
like
are you testing StreamYard?
I'm
That.
really, StreamYard is done with me, man. Okay, let me log off and come back in, okay? I'll
Hmm.
be right with you.
Okay. Hmm.
Yes, sir, are you still there?
Yeah.
Look, the other Hassan is still in the channel.
Hmm.
So for the StreamYard
Yeah.
people, look at the disaster you guys made. You guys are embarrassing me. Okay, anyway. So let's go. Let's go and share the screen here. Yikes. Let's go into GitHub. Can I at least just create the PR? Bazaar or oh, I like that a lot. Okay, here's your PR and here's the create PR. And so nice of you, Chrome. Chrome is like, it seems like you closed your window unexpectedly. Would you like to try again? Okay.
Hmm.
So all I want you to
That's
do
nice.
now is just review this code and make sure like I didn't forget anything and just merge it, my friend. Balls in your court. Go for it. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Share your screen. What are you doing? You can't sleep.
You want me to?
You're taking a nap
No.
stream. You know what you're doing?
You were fast enough to come back.
Mm,
Unexpected. Yeah.
okay. You already like start a little movie or a YouTube video while you're waiting? Is that what it is?
I was just searching for, chaos monkey. And I what was going on in my mind, is it a kind of stress testing that we call?
Yeah.
Ah,
It's
uh-huh.
putting it's showing your system who's boss. And
Mhm.
it doesn't matter, like it's not based on you caught up so that you caught up on Chaos Monkey and you're still there in that segment. Okay. Oh, yes,
Not
sir,
not
yes,
totally.
sir.
No, no, not
Uh,
totally. I just took
uh
a break because you were, just coming back on the Streamyard again.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay. Now it's time for you to, now it's a great opportunity for you to share your screen so you can merge my PR.
mhm.
Mm, any second now. Whenever you're ready, no pressure. Ah,
Okay, I will print this window.
okay.
You could merge that, right?
Why you don't want to share your screen? Did you forget your
No, I'm
GitHub
sharing.
pass?
I will share it.
What happened to you?
Sorry.
Do you have tabs open? How to,
Yeah,
you
few tabs. Yeah.
close all of them and
Hmm.
open the one.
Share screen.
Ah,
Okay.
here we go. He jumps, he
Yeah.
dunks, he scores. Yay! There you go. Look at you. All right, now let's merge that PR. Yes, let's get to business. Need to do some work. Here's the PR. Infra, initialize acceptance test. Do you see it?
Pull requests.
Mm,
We have this.
yeah. Want to take a look at the files? I lost you there. Your brain is a million miles away.
No, no.
Uh,
Uh,
uh. I want to buy a new car. I want to get these new shoes like my friend.
mhm.
Uh, how come
Okay.
how can I get this Microsoft amazing keyboard? What is he talking about? Chaos Monkey?
That stress testing was going on my mind, and I thought, is it the same thing? I think it was the same thing that you discussed. Okay, it seems to be
Oh,
fine, I
good.
think. Yeah.
Approved. Okay,
Hmm.
merge it in. Mm, mm. Okay.
Okay, I'm coming back.
Bro, click on the conversation, bro. Conversation.
Hmm.
Conversation. And then just click the green button.
Hmm.
The biggest button on the screen.
This one, right?
Me, this is the one. Clickety.
Confirm merge.
Clickety clickety. Clickety click. Wow, we have acceptance test. Yay.
Okay.
Now, what
This
we
is
can do.
yeah. This is first time I'm working in a group. Pair programming and this kind of stuff. So so we have merged now. Okay.
It's all about how much you can tolerate your annoying coworkers. That would be me in that instance. That's pair programming. It's not about your
Okay.
knowledge, it's about your patience.
Hmm. Right.
So
Yeah.
now
True.
let's do something real quick together, right? Let's
Hmm.
execute a pipeline. So click on actions in GitHub. Click on actions.
Hmm.
Do you see actions? Yeah. And then click on that .NET guy.
This one.
Yeah. Configure.
Configure.
Yeah. Let's see. Main. Instead of Ubuntu latest, type Windows dash 2022. We're gonna change it anyway, but just type Windows dash 2022. Okay, that's one. And then in the .NET version, we're still on .NET 6, right?
6. Right.
So .NET 6, you're gonna type in 6.0.101. Mm.
Okay.
So far, so good, right?
Hmm.
What's the next thing we want to do? I think the rest of your file should be okay. You have the build, you have the test, you have, keep scrolling, test, build, verbosity, normal.NET. Yeah, just click start commit and then create a new branch, create a new branch, users slash your GitHub username, and then infra dash initialize build action dash build dash action. This is all just infrastructure stuff, right? And then in the title at the top, type the same thing, infra colon and then space mm, initialize GitHub action. So when you're writing these titles, it's like newspaper. You don't need a
Okay. Okay.
period, full
Sorry.
stop.
Hmm.
And also the beginning of every word is uppercase. There you go. That's my brother right there. Look at that. Look at that guy. It's a heartbreaker. And then click propose new new file. Here we go. Yeah. And then click create pull request. Thank you for sending me this Loom thing. It's pretty neat. It's awesome. So you know
Yeah.
what you just did? You just created this new build pipeline. Let's click on the details and watch it. We'll just sit there awkwardly, like click on details. You see details?
Hmm.
hmm And let's just watch it for a sec. Like we will sit there in very awkward silence, just watching it churning. The
Okay.
most the most important part about this is what? It should give us two passing tests.
Hmm.
It should give us the delete me test should be true, and it should give us the real test, which should return uh, home controller, the home message, right?
Right. Hmm.
Right. Let's see if it's gonna do that. So right now it's just going and getting a job, like a host, like an agent. If I can someday, we'll sit down, I'll explain to you how this thing is working behind the scene. It's pure magic. It's basically having a pool of agents,
Hmm.
and it goes and picks up one that's idle, and it says go ahead and run this build on that agent, and it keeps track of everything. It's really
Hmm.
beautiful. And that agent that you're pulling in, because it's running on Windows and it has .NET installed and Visual Studio installed, it comes in built in with its own SQL server in it. And that's how our acceptance tests always work, because you're actually knocking down that database and actually running the migrations. Thanks to the Entity framework, you can do automatic migrations without having to do, this is a word for the dapper crowd, and these folks that do, I don't know, someone asked me the other, said, how is your migration is better than publish.xml or something like that. I need to
Hmm.
go see what's that all about. Anyway, do you want to refresh the page? Sometimes it goes stagnant, like stale. Give that guy a refresh. Hmm. Come on, man. Oh, look, it's already in the test
Hmm.
area. Let's see if it's gonna find our test. Expand that test guy real quick. The test guy.
Sorry. Hmm.
What happened to you in high school? What happened?
Okay.
There it is.
Uh,
See, it picked up our tests, right?
mm,
That's it. We're done. Go back to your pull
yeah.
requests and then just merge it. All right. But we can't have, yeah, click merge.
Hmm.
We can't have the engineers writing YAML code every time they want to make a change. So we want to write C sharp code that generates that YAML code for us, right? That would be the topic of our next session.
Okay.
All right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That wraps up our session today, Mr. Yasser. Do you have any question for me? Comments, concerns, anything at all?
Uh, no, the
Something
chaos monkey is
happened to you.
resolved.
I lost
No,
you.
no, no, not
Uh,
exactly.
uh.
Uh, Now the chaos monkey is resolved. That was going on in my mind.
Did we
That
deploy the
it's a
chaos monkey in your
stress.
head and it just putting stress on your head and now you just can't focus?
No,
All
it
right,
is
man.
resolved. That is exactly the stress testing that you talked about.
Hmm.
Just that term, it was going on in my mind.
Awesome,
Okay.
awesome. And I don't know, to be honest with you, I don't know, like, I know Azure can give you that outside of the box. Let's do a quick research since you're so fascinated with it. Let's just get this out of the way for you. So you stop talking about Chaos Monkey for 1 second, for God's sake. Let's
Mhm.
see. There's this guy. Let's see. Chaos Monkey in Azure. Yeah, Azure gets Chaos Studio. It's almost like I knew about it. I don't know.
Mhm.
So similar capabilities, the simulator. Using Chaos Studio. Oh, that's really good stuff. Okay. Let's see. Azure Chaos Studio. So this is Azure own product, basically.
Mhm.
Chaos engineering. Improve application resilience by introducing faults and simulating outages. Look at this. Oh my God. So you're basically gonna pretend a certain server is down and see how your system operates. I love it. They made a whole studio for it. Are you kidding me, bro? Hold on. Let me go see that. Oh man, see, we're learning together, right? We're friends,
Yeah.
right? Friends. Why can't we be friends? Why can't? Okay, so this is the Chaos Studio. Oh my God, dude. Chaos Studio. And there's
Okay.
chaos experiments. Oh my
Mm.
God. How do I do? Welcome to Azure. Azure Chaos helps you measure, understand, improve, and maintain product resilience. Oh, create an experiment.
This is to a next level now. What we thought
Oh,
of,
yeah.
just not just stress testing, but
Systematic.
mm,
And we're gonna I wanna look at the experiment designer, and you
mm,
get to go and hit a certain endpoint, and oh my lord, add fault, add delay. Oh, like your service is delayed, and how? Looks like we have a lot of stuff to learn, Yasser. It looks
yeah.
like the people, following us on that series, for as long as my ticker is still ticking, I will continue to talk to people about things. This is
Mhm.
very interesting. This is very, very interesting. I can't wait. And this is the beauty of pair programming. You get to hang out with people and chat and build things, and you share things and they share things, and we get to learn new things. There's a lot of things have been said in this one sentence, but anyway, do you have anything else before we wrap up?
I'm done with it.
You're
Chaos
done
Monkey
with
was
me
the
for the
only one.
day. You're
Okay.
done. Take it
I
and
was
go.
okay.
Anyway, if for people watching us, around these times, as we're recording this, it feels like when you're pairing with people, you feel like you're in a bubble, right? But we're not really in a bubble. We understand what's happening around us, around the world, and all the craziness that are happening around us. And I hope people everywhere, especially folks at these points in time, at the time we're recording this video, especially in Ukraine at this point in time, and everywhere else around the world, are safe. I hope that the agony and sadness ends soon, and I hope that children are just seeing a better future. And sorry to kind of dim down the lights, but I just want people to understand, as we're just writing code and having fun, we're also remembering everybody around us, and hopefully we can build systems and do something good, make our parents proud, legitimize our existence, right? Yes, sir.
Mhm.
And for the people watching us, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or compliments for Mr. Yasser here on his his monkey. Please feel free to drop drop a comment in the comment section, and don't forget to like and subscribe.
Subscribe.
I'll see you in another video. Take care. Thank you, Yasser. Salam, brother. Take care.
Thank you.